Well, for more on this, we're joined in the studio by Vava Tampa, founder of the campaign group Save the Congo, and also, I believe, the president of the Congolese support group UK. Is that correct?
Oh, no, that's someone else.
Okay. First of all, where do you think things are developing now? I know that you're calling for Kabila to stand down, as indeed are a lot of people. What do you see the situation in DRC like as right now?
Over the past 18 months or so, the situation has gotten incredibly worse. We've seen crashes and the killings and uprooting of people in places such as Beni intensifying. And then now we also see a lot of killings in places such as Kasai, which was incredibly peaceful before, intensifying, and more people, some 20,000 people have been displaced just last week. So the situation is incredibly worsening, and we suspect one of the reasons that this is becoming so is partially, essentially, the government in Kinshasa are creating this crisis to prevent election from taking place, to use it as an excuse.
I mean, you mentioned Kasai because actually even months ago, the unrest in the central Kasai region was one of the reasons already used by the Kabila government not to have, to have the election slip, so to speak.
Of course. I mean, initially began with Beni, and Beni, what we saw between 2014 and 2016, was hundreds of people being killed and massacred with machetes. And when that could not be used as an excuse, all of a sudden now Kasai, which was incredibly peaceful, became the centre of the killings in Congo, and it's been so since June of last year. So that is an excuse the Kabila government is attempting to use, sort of say, you know what, we cannot hold elections, and Kabila, as a result, must stay because of this crisis. But that should not be used as an excuse.
No, and also, I mean, speaking of all the atrocities that have been going on, two United Nations experts sent to investigate mass killings were actually killed in March. So, I mean, there seems to be, I mean, certainly in the international community, a bit of a consensus that it really would be time for Kabila to go. Who do you think could or would replace him? I mean, in the landscape now, who seems like an obvious successor? I
mean, one of the options I am pushing, and some of my friends are also pushing, is essentially for now, once Kabila steps down, we're going to have a transition, and that transition should be led by someone from the civil society group. And one of the names which has been mentioned, which I'm supporting, is Denis Mukwege. And I want him to lead the transition until we return Congo to constitutional order. And then once that has been done, and then we would organise an election which would be peaceful, credible and transparent, and then all the political parties will take part and contest for the Supreme Office.
The DRC is an incredible, I mean, for a lot of our viewers who wouldn't know, I mean, it's enormous. It's the size almost of Western Europe, incredibly rich when it comes to natural resources, none of which gets translated into the pockets of ordinary people.
Yep.
And also, it's a country that has suffered incredibly through civil war. Yep. How much hunger do you think there is in the people right now for transition? I mean, I know that democracy is good on paper and not just on paper, but do you think that actually there is the kind of push among the people of DRC itself to get rid of Kabila, which one way or another is going to cause more instability before
Absolutely. This movement has been led by people on the ground, by young people, members of the Lucha movement, members of the Filimbi, members of Quatrième Voix, and so forth. And what we are seeing on the ground is young people and students essentially rising up. And if you remember, if you go back to, let's say, January of 2015, and if you go back to of September of 2016 and 17, when hundreds of people were absolutely massacred on the ground by Kabila's henchmen, special military forces. But nonetheless, in spite of all of this, what we see on the ground is an incredible anger and frustration, and people are ready to fight to force Kabila out by force. And what we want to do and what we are pushing is we want this to be a civilian movement. We want the people to actually, this time, for the first time in Congolese history, we want it to be the civil society and young people who would push Kabila out rather than the military.
Well, he shows no signs of leaving just yet, so I'm sure you and I will be having this discussion on this topic again soon. For the moment, Vava Tampa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.